Hello and Namaste. In my introductory post to this series, I said that physics and Vedanta are the two loves of my life. I find so many similarities between the two. The one place where these similarities are most striking is quantum physics. It is uncanny how much quantum physics makes sense when viewed through the lens of Vedanta. If you have to really understand the depth of their resonance, we need to delve deeper into Vedanta. I request you to watch last week's post, Quantum Physics and Vedanta, before watching this one. Last week I told you how the observer effect of quantum physics is very similar to the Vedantic concept of Sakshi Chaitanyam. Here's a short recap. Nothing can happen and nothing can exist in the dream world without you witnessing it. The objects in your dream get their existence because you witness it. The very act of you seeing it brings things into existence in your dream, isn't it? Brahman and the universe have a similar relationship. Everything is born in Brahman, exists in Brahman, and resolves in Brahman. But Brahman is not an active participant in the process. It is only the witness to the universe. That is why Brahman is referred to in Vedanta as Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witness consciousness. Compare this to what quantum physics is saying. A particle does not have any real existence until it is observed. Physical systems do not exist until you measure them. They come into existence because you observe them. How can you not see the obvious parallels? Is this not the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witness consciousness that Vedanta speaks about? Did you spot a flaw in my logic? As per Vedanta, there is one consciousness, one Sakshi Chaitanyam, which brings things into existence by the mere act of witnessing them. But this is not the same as any observer bringing things into existence. How can my observations have this power? If, as Vedanta claims, Brahman is the one dreaming up the universe, how am I able to bring things into existence? Only the person who is dreaming can bring things into existence in his dream, isn't it? If this question occurred to you, then kudos to you. This is a brilliant observation. Vedanta has an equally brilliant answer to this question. The answer takes us to the very heart of Vedanta, the zenith of its teachings. Let's do a small thought experiment. Let's say you are having a vivid dream. It is your consciousness that has created every object in your dream. What about all the people in your dream? They don't just exist, they are all conscious. Where do they get their consciousness from? Let's say there are 10 people in your dream. Each person in your dream is having a different experience. Where do they get their sentience from? How is it possible for them to experience the dream world? Are they seeing anything that you are not seeing? If a person in your dream is watching the sunrise, it is your consciousness which has created the sunrise and seeing it through his eyes. He is experiencing the sunrise because you are experiencing it. I'll say it again. He is experiencing the sunrise because you are experiencing it. The experience of every person in your dream is your experience. Take a minute to absorb this. Now ask yourself, how is this happening? Have you divided your consciousness into 10 different parts and distributed it to the 10 people in your dream? No. You are one undivided consciousness, experiencing your dream world through every person in your dream. Now let us shift our point of view to the people in your dream. Each person experiences the world as if it is outside of him. They experience themselves as distinct individuals, separate from everyone else. One person cannot see what the other person is seeing. They are under the impression that they are living in this world and they have limited power over it. This is just an illusion caused by the deluding power of your dream. Shankaracharya says in this brilliant verse from Maya Panchakam, Nirupama Nitya Niransha Kepya Khande Maichiti Sarva Vikalpanadi Shunye Gatayati Jagadisha Jiva Bhedam Twagatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. I am this Brahman which is pure consciousness. I am eternal, divisionless, unlimited by space or time. Somehow the powerful Maya does the impossible. It deludes me into thinking there is a world, there is God, and there is me, each separate from the other. There is only your consciousness shining through all the people in your dream. While you are dreaming, even you don't know this. You are experiencing all the ups and downs of the world as though it is outside of you. You, the dreamer, is every person in your dream, and every person in your dream is you. You have not divided yourself to become these multiple people in your dream. You remain undivided, observing your dream. And this power of observation is reflected in every person in your dream. This is the final teaching of Vedanta, the culmination of all its knowledge. There is only one consciousness principle, and it is you. The whole world is happening in you. You are Brahman. You create, sustain, and destroy it. You are the Sakshi, the witness of the entire world. The world exists because you see it. In Vedanta, the statements that reveal this truth are called Mahavakyam, or the great proclamations. They are strewn throughout the Upanishads. The goal of Vedanta is to make you understand this identity between you and Brahman. Here are the 4 most famous Mahavakyams of Vedanta. Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahma, this self is Brahman. Tattvamasi, you are that Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am that Brahman, that witness consciousness that brings everything into existence by merely witnessing it. I am Brahman, the singular consciousness which pervades everything. I am the only thing there is. All divisions are an illusion. My consciousness is Brahman. I am the all-pervading Sakshi Chaitanyam. Can you see how this neatly explains the paradox of quantum physics? How is it possible for a puny observer in the laboratory to bring things into existence? It is possible because there is nothing puny about an observer. He is that all-pervading consciousness that brought the whole universe into existence. I want to end this post with these poignant words from Einstein, which seems to echo all the great sages of our antiquity. A human being experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest of the universe, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole nature in its beauty. That's it from me this week. As always, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe and like and share this with your friends. If you are watching this on Facebook or Instagram, I have posted the link to my YouTube channel in the comments below. Please do take time to visit and subscribe. Until next week, Namaste.